everyone. Welcome to Fitness with Saswitz at my very special filming destination. Now, I've decided it's finally time for me to make my first ever video on the Russia versus Ukraine war. Yes, full-out war. The first week, the first few days this happened, I was seeing the headlines ugh. Didn't even bother to look up what exactly was happening. But I got over my disgust. My quizzes got over. And I swallowed my disgust. I looked up exactly what was happening. Several videos. Then I looked up why it was happening. Because I know some stuff that most people don't seem to know. One is that Russia has been mad at Ukraine for a long time. They've been suspicious of Ukraine for a long time. They've been trying to position themselves to take over Ukraine for a long time. And it's not even been that secret either. In fact, Ukraine has been preparing for war. Not just for a few months, but for a long time. Vladimir Zelensky just didn't say he was preparing for war, so he could throw off Russia a little bit, and somehow that seems to be working. But then again, So, phase 2. After searching what the heck was happening, let's see, Russia invading Ukraine, Russia not knowing the streets in Ukraine, Ukrainians just removing all the road signs, Ukrainians taking international students hostage, etc., etc., etc. Russian soldiers not knowing exactly why they were in Ukraine. The list goes on. It's a mess. Now, it's a war, so it's supposed to be a mess. But here you have it. Phase 2. Why is Russia doing this? Why was Russia ever suspicious of Ukraine for such a long time? Ukraine was about to join American alliances. They were about to join the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. That is why. What that means is that American military bases would be spread in Ukraine. I.e., not good for Russia. Not at all. Russia therefore feels threatened because unlike Donald Trump that provided the let's pretend Ukraine doesn't exist so we don't make Russia mad policy, we have sleepy Joe Biden who's like, oh, Ukraine, you want to join us? Okay, join us. Russia's like, not gonna happen. There is 3 things that Joe Biden could do. The first one was the thing Donald Trump did. Pretend Ukraine does not exist. Is that pro-Russia? Maybe. But it's also anti-war, which is what we're all striving for. The only way for Ukraine to have joined NATO peacefully, without this Russian provocation, was to wait until Vladimir Putin was dead, and to wait until Russia was trying to join NATO, or Russia had a puppet that was a puppet of NATO. If Russia was joining NATO with Ukraine, no matter how far in the future that is, that's the only time that it would be ethical to try to let Ukraine into NATO without the stupid invasion going on. Stupid invasion caused by sleepy Joe Biden and his really naive foreign policy. Some places are just better off ignored. He failed to ignore Ukraine, which for now is better off ignored. What next? He had 2 options. He could have appeased Russia, but that could have only been done before the war. The feathers are already ruffled. The only other option he had was to support Ukraine. Jump Ukraine into NATO right there. Establish a no-fly zone, but no. He didn't do that. He's halfway in. And halfway in is weakness. Halfway in never works. halfway in, is when you're doing exactly what Russia expected you to do. I impose sanctions. Do you think Vladimir Putin didn't expect that? He did. He did. Do you think Putin actually wanted to invade Ukraine as his very first option? And that was really completely unprovoked? Of course not. You really think he wanted the ruble to crash like this and whatever the heck else is happening? Those two options are now out the window. 1 week has been way too long to delay the imposition of no-fly airspace and American troops in Ukraine. If they were in Ukraine, what could have he done? Could he have just simply forced Russia to back down? Sadly, I doubt it. No. Even if that eventually happened, they have to drag out the war. Russia has this confidence because he knows that that America wasn't able to defeat Afghanistan and the Taliban. All he has to do is copy the Taliban's tactics with more firepower. It's guaranteed to work. The one thing he might be able to do that could stop this war but that would make Ukraine taken over by Russia. And then Russia is going to start doing destruction with the "if I can't have Ukraine, nobody can"